Hello, everybody, and we are back for a brand new episode of Horrifically Horrifying, presented by the Hollywood Critics Association. My name is Heather Wixson, and I am joined, as always, by Kevin Taft, my lovely co-host. We made it, Kevin. It is the end of October.
Ah, thank God. As much of horror fans as we are, I'm done.
Give me all the Christmas horror now, because I'm done. I'm out. I'm tapped. I mean, it's been an amazing month. Like, we can't complain in that regard. We've had so much amazing content, but we've had a lot of content, and I feel like we're just sort of haphazardly running towards that finish line right now, just trying to get to November.
Stumbling a little bit, yeah. Just like the final girl, we're gonna trip at some point, and then
we're gonna make it. We're going to get in the back of that pickup truck that's rolling by just at the right minute. We're going to get the hell out of here.
And we're going to laugh and go, ha, 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 and then get our heads cut off.
Yes. I mean, no, we don't want that. No. But yeah, so we are back. We were off last week, and we're back this week. We've got, it's funny because like you're thinking like, oh, we've had so much, stuff going on in October. There can't possibly be more to talk about this month. But I know we're only talking about 2 movies this episode, but there's actually 3 movies coming out this week.
That's true.
Is kind of crazy.
Talking about Soho, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Yep.
Yeah. So it's like even at the at the end of October, we still have 3 more genre movies heading to theaters, to streaming, to whatnot. And that's kind of amazing. I do feel like, we've been really lucky this month, and it's been awesome. We've had really great stuff on the big screen, little screen, every in-between screen. But, I'm really excited that we can start looking forward a little bit, because now we have to get ready for awards season.
Yes, I know. And as our leader has told us, we have 4 weeks to watch everything.
Do we even have 4 weeks?
We do. Well, we have to get our ballots in by December 20th. No, December 2nd.
No, it's November. I thought it was November.
That's when you get them, but then you can vote for what. Oh, that's true, because you still have to kind of vote.
You have to see stuff to vote.
You're right, and that's for the top 5, and then you have to officially vote. You're right. I don't know. I don't even have screenings of half this stuff, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be exciting.
Yeah.
We're gonna fly by the seat of our pants.
We are.
So glad we worked that out here on the show. I'm sure everybody watching is like, great, that's fantastic. We're so happy
Thanks,
for
Scott.
you. Yeah, thanks for we're working all that out. But yeah, so we're here. We're in the end stretch, and this week we're going to be talking about Antlers from Scott Cooper, as well as Paranormal Activity: Next of Kin from William Eubanks. And I don't know if I know we also were going to chat briefly about a new movie that just had a trailer release that's going to be coming out early next year, which is The Black Phone from Scott Derrickson.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I did get a chance to see the film in, oh my God, Fantastic Fest, September, whatever. Boy, I'll tell you, the last 3 months have just been like 1 month all jammed together. So I have zero concept of any sort of time anymore. But yeah, I will say this, that Sinister still to me is probably the scariest movie I've seen in the last 10 years, because nothing really scares me anymore. I'm dead inside. So, Sinister is the last one to really unnerve me.
That's why your lips are black, because you're dead inside.
So it's like a dark cherry or something. Every time I wear the other color, it's so washed out. So I have to go to more dramatic for camera. Thanks for pointing it out.
I like it. I was staring at it, going like, oh, I think I have some Halloween lipstick. I could go like pull it out.
I wore my Freddy sweater, and
I wore Lost Boys.
I'm ready for it. Okay,
that's all I got.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, and mine even has like a fun little has like little scratches in it.
Nice.
Yes. And it also is all messed up, which I didn't even realize till recently. And I was like, why is that so chilly? And then I was like, oh, because it has like these things. So yeah, it's funny. It's weird because I never realized until I had to do more video stuff, and this is such an aside, but when I was in junior high, I actually had Bell's palsy for like 8 months. And there's there's no pictures of me from 7th grade at all because it was just terrible. But I never realized, so I had to start doing video stuff, that my mouth still slopes a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, how do I deal with that? Like,
do you turn your head like this a little bit so that you look like it's always up?
I don't know. Anyway,
you know what? Drew Barrymore gets away with the crooked mouth, so you're fine.
Yeah, well, she's Drew Barrymore though. Like, come on. She can get away with anything as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, so I guess we should go ahead and show the Black Phone trailer. Again, I think it's February 2022 that it comes out. So that's something fun to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've only seen it once, so this will be interesting because I don't remember it.
I'm gonna roll that beautiful bean footage.
Here we go.
I'll be home in the morning.
Where are you going?
I'm staying over at Susie's tonight.
What's new? The flyer.
The papers call him the grabber.
I wish you wouldn't call him that.
You don't actually believe that story, do you? Because he can't hear you, and he doesn't really take kids that safe.
Oh, you goof. Well, isn't that just peachy keen?
You need some help?
You see that?
Yeah.
Would you hand me my hat? Yes, sir. I am a part-time magician.
Are those black balloons in there?
Would you like to see a magic trick?
I have an announcement to make. One of our students, Finney Blake, was abducted.
What if I could help the police find Finney?
Doesn't work. Not since I was a kid.
I'll scream. I'll scratch your face.
This face?
Daddy, I had a dream about it.
What happened in your dream?
He was taken.
By a man with black balloons?
Yes.
We never released those details.
Hello?
Don't hang up.
Who are you?
You know all our names?
You're getting out of here.
Please let the dreams be real.
See the wall in front of you? I tore a long cable loose from down there.
There's a combination lock on the inside of the storm door.
What's the combination?
I carved it in the wall.
Hang up the phone!
The tree, the door, the gate. I'd never seen it before except in my dreams.
You don't have much time. You're gonna use a weapon. You raise the phone, step back, and swing.
Look what you made me do.
Please hurry!
You remember what I told you?
There's someday I have to stand up for myself.
Someday is today, Finn.
February 4th, early.
Yes. You know what's funny about that is I was watching the trailer. I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in this trailer that's not in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I mean, I never mind when movies do that because it just keeps you guessing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm guessing based on the interviews that I've read that like half of the stuff that we see in the Scream trailer isn't actually even in the movie. So
Yeah, really.
So that's cool. I'm fine with it. But yeah, I will tell you, because they at the Q&A for the movie at Fantastic Fest, Scott Derrickson talked about how Ethan Hawke does not do villain roles. He just doesn't. It's not something he goes out and looks for and things like that. So he had to be really talked into this, and he's freaking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never been so unnerved by him before. And what's also really funny too is they don't really show it in the trailer, but the little girl Madeline McGraw, who plays the little sister of Madison Thames's character, or Mason Thames, she's hilarious in the movie. Like, she is ridiculously funny, and I'm so excited for people to fall in love with her character in this movie because she is just awesome. Like I really, really loved her. She's like a little bit of a spitfire, but they don't show that in the trailer. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's. I have a weird thing about like ghost kid movies. Like they don't usually work for me. But this one's the good stuff. I really liked it a lot. So
All right. Well, good.
yeah,
Something to look
yeah.
forward to.
Yes. So yeah, it's funny. We're like, oh, February 4th, and it'll be here before we even know it.
For sure.
So,
Right. Right. Because we have
so
Scream before that too.
we do. Not
Look
that I'm
at you.
counting the days
No, you
or
aren't.
anything.
All right. So what should we talk about first?
I mean, we could go right into Antlers if we'd like.
All right.
Yeah.
Antlers. Let me see. I have a little bit of Antlers action.
Can't have antlers without the actual antlers.
Oh, correct. Correct.
I believe that's the rule.
That is the rule. So I actually just saw this on Friday, finally, after
Okay.
waiting and waiting and waiting. And I really liked it. I mean, I had some issues. Like first of all, Scott Cooper, I like his stuff. Hostiles is one of my favorite movies of the past 5 years. So I was excited about that. So I like his style and his way of everything's just there's just the mood to his stuff that I really like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was a couple things that I felt were missing in the script. I guess a little bit more of the tie-in of the mythology. I mean, they start talking about how the Wendigo is a part of, we ruin nature and it comes
Did you
after
call it the
us.
Wendigo?
Isn't it Wendigo?
Wendigo.
Oh, I swear I've heard Wendigo before now.
That's okay.
Wendigo.
It made it sound way more exotic. To be honest.
Wendigo.
So Wendigo.
Maybe I saw it more exotic. I mean, there's been so many movies about it too. But I felt like they didn't tie in the nature stuff as much or the ecological stuff as I expected them to. So that I thought was like they could have tightened that up a little bit. And I wanted a little bit more backstory with like you knew a little bit about Carrie Russell's character and her brother, played by Jesse Plemons, and they hinted things. I felt like there needed to be one more scene where they kind of like really have it out about what happened. And
I feel like the nature of what happens is pretty much laid out in what you see. And I think, and maybe it's only because I've seen it on 2 different occasions now, but I feel like I'm sort of glad we don't go further than we do, to be really honest. Because there's so much heaviness in this movie as it is.
True. I don't necessarily want to know details. I wanted there to be more of a, I used the word in my written review and now I can't remember what it was. I wanted there to be a moment of like forgiveness, or I wanted it to come to a head where there was a release from what they were going through. And I felt like, yeah, they're fighting things and doing all this stuff, but I still felt I wanted one more scene of that to really kind of bring it home. But other than that, like I was into it. There was some great jump scares. The design of the creature is amazing. They don't show it so much that they do the Jaws thing where, they leave it to your imagination. So I thought that was great. But you're right. It's very heavy and very like gloomy and
like everybody, I saw like a lot of responses after the Beyond Fest premiere, and everybody was like mad because it's like such a bleak and depressing. I mean, it is a bleak and depressing movie. And I was like, well, guess what? Like,
did they see Hereditary? Did they see The Witch? I mean, for God's sakes, those are too, and everybody loves those.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just because this one is just, there isn't really a release. And I think that's the thing is like, for anybody who's lived through trauma, like, is there ever a release from it? Maybe not. Maybe this is
maybe that's kind of
the point of it,
right? Because I mean, you and I both know how it ends, so there is no release in a way. But
yeah, I mean, that's not giving anything specifically.
No.
I mean, in terms of the traumatic sort of story elements that are at play with certain characters, it's funny because like the first time I saw it, because I saw it back in like January of 2020, and I liked it. But again, it was really heavy. And I remember feeling like really shitty the whole time I drove home that night. And I was just like, ugh. And sometimes like when a movie puts me in a funk, like I'm in a mood. Yeah. And then I saw it the second time, and then not that it was like my mood got any better or more happier, but I think it sat with me a little bit differently because I was able to sort of absorb it again. And I also was prepared going into it, knowing what was that heaviness.
Yeah.
But everybody was just like, wow, this movie's so mean and so dark. And, but I'm like, yeah, this movie isn't here to be friends with you. This movie's here to like mess you up. Like that's the point of the story, and I think it's interesting is, I think it does a really interesting take, because trauma's everywhere in horror these days. But of course, this movie actually came before the pandemic, and then sort of has been waiting in the wings ever since. So it's interesting to see a movie about trauma that's not a reflection of what we've been dealing with the last 18 months.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it seems like every movie now is trauma. And we're all like, yeah, we get it. We've been through some stuff, the last year and a half. But I think for me, why it clicked so much better is just because it wasn't just personal trauma that it was really like talking about. It's also talking about like the trauma that we've done to our communities, the trauma that's, happening globally and things like that. And I think also too, for me, I think one of the reasons, oh geez, my dog just got his nail stuck in my stupid sweater. See what happens when you do fashionable things in the name of your love of Freddy Krueger. Sorry, baby. Like he just like got a colic right there.
Oh my God, look at the big rip.
Oh yeah. But I think for me, because my family, my mom grew up in West Virginia. So my grandfather, most of my uncles were all in the mining industry for years and years and years. And so I've seen firsthand what happens when these sort of institutions go away. And I'm not saying that I'm pro coal or anything like that, because we obviously need to be doing other things to make things better for our planet. But I've seen when communities aren't prepared for those things to happen, what happens in its wake.
Right.
It just becomes, just everything it goes into a depressive state.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was another thing that sort of I glommed onto as something that sort of spoke to me, was just like, those memories of driving to West Virginia every summer and seeing my grandparents and seeing the way people live out there, because, they can't find work and things like that, because, some of the mines that they used to work at were no longer running and things like that. So I got it in that way. And I think to me, that's another reason why I liked it so much. And also like Felicity was like my jam when I was like college age. Like it was like the perfect time of my life to see Felicity. Because it came out like, I think it was like my sophomore year of college was like the first season. And I just adore Kerry Russell. And of course I love Jesse Plemons from Friday Night Lights and Game Night. But I will say, I think Jeremy Thomas, the little boy in this movie, he is so freaking good. And like he's never really acted before.
Yeah,
like he's done some bit parts. So yeah, I think, I get it. If somebody doesn't like the movie, like I understand that why. Do you know what I mean? Like this isn't a movie you come out and you're like, wow, I want to recommend that to all my friends and have, you know what I mean? Like it's not like one of those happy word of mouth kind of horror movies. Like, oh, wait till you see the devastation that wrecks this community and the mess and all this, But I think for me, because I was prepared for it, going back into watching it again, I think that made it hit even harder the second time, more so than it did that first time. So little did I know when I saw in January 2020 what was coming.
But it's weird that you say this, because it's like, if people are upset by that, like, I mean, so much horror is like that people still love. Seven, that's a gloomy movie. There's nothing happy about Seven, but people love it. So why was this movie something that stuck to them, of like, oh, it's too downbeat? Like, so is anything that Ari Aster does, for God's sakes.
Well, I think in a lot of cases, and also, I mean, I can't speak to everybody's personal tastes, but I think there's always like some element of these movies that people can hook onto. Like, for example, like you mentioned The Witch, and I think for like some people, they, it's a really depressing movie, really bleak, really messed up. But I think a lot of people sort of attach themselves to those final moments of The Witch that are meant to be empowering. But then you wonder, like, is it really empowering? Because she's ultimately given herself over to a different power. And that's why, like, I get on people all the time, and I'm so tired of people talking about Midsommar, but I'm going to talk about Midsommar. Just like, find another movie, for God's sakes. I get it. But like, people go into Midsummer and they're like, oh, she comes out and she's all like, woohoo, like, my boyfriend's dead now and all my friends are dead and I'm gonna live like my best life now, how the kids on the internet say. And I'm like, no, you've basically just given up one relationship that was an emotional crutch for you for an entirely different structure of, reliance. Like, you're gonna, like, these people have manipulated you into believing that you're free, but you're not free. You're still basically
Yep.
stuck in this basically like social institution.
Yep.
And you don't even realize it, which makes it even worse.
Yep.
Like, it's one thing when you're the needy girlfriend, but then when you're like, now you're in a cult, how'd that happen? Like, and now
Yep.
your boyfriend's dead and all your friends are dead and you're never going back home.
Yep.
So but I think for like something like Midsummer, like, I think the appeal is sort of like the vibrancy of it. I mean, honestly, it's the A24-ness of it. I think, honestly, if A24 put this movie out, I don't think you would have gotten half the complaints.
Exactly.
You know what I
Because
mean?
of the
I mean, it's
A24 cult.
yeah. I mean, and it's fine. Like, everybody has, wants to be fans and stuff, and that's cool. I'm never going to shame anybody. Like, I grew up being fans of, wrestling and things like that. So it's fine. But ultimately, like, it's okay to look beyond that for those other things. Because I'll tell you, and this is something I've said on Twitter before, and I've said on other podcasts and things like that. But like, if Rob Zombie had put out The Lords of Salem under A24, that would be one of the most lauded movies of the last 10 years. But
I've never seen it, so I can't even answer it. I can't even speak to that.
And that's another one that's super bleak at the end too. But it's a phenomenal movie. Every time I see that movie, it hits me even harder. But yeah, so it's one of those things, like, you throw something under a label and suddenly everyone's like, oh, this is, that's what gets their attention, which is funny because I've seen so many people come out of Lamb now and they're like, what was that movie? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh,
Right.
Like, it wasn't the horror movie you thought it would be. So
Right.
yeah, it's tough. I thought it was incredibly well done. In fact, you mentioned The Creature, which was done from out of Legacy Effects, which is one of the primary companies that Guillermo del Toro always works with, and has been, I think, pretty much since Hellboy. So so they did a phenomenal job of trying to realize that creature. But yeah, I don't know what people like. This isn't a good time horror movie, but I'm okay with that. Like, you go watch Halloween Kills to, like, watch Michael Myers run amok and do crazy things, and watch people eat charcuterie and stuff like that. But this is just like, you in 5 minutes of the movie, like, just the way it's staged and the visuals and the color palette, like, this isn't a happy movie. Like, the life has been sucked out of this town in more ways than one. So yeah, and like I said, I'm never going to fault anybody if they don't like it, but I just saw people getting really upset because it wasn't, as accessible, I guess, as they wanted it to be. And I was like, yeah, but like, it's pretty, there's some messed up things that happen in this movie. So I won't go into super specifics, but there's a scene at the end where you're like, oh God, we're going to go there. And they go there and you're like, oh, okay. Wow. And you can't take that kind of thing lightly,
Right, for sure.
So,
for sure.
But
Yeah,
I
I
hope people
enjoyed
give it. I hope people give it a chance. So, I mean, now we're going to be coming out of Halloween and all depressed. So maybe this is the good post-Halloween depression horror movie we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, woohoo! Yep. So we both give a thumbs up, I guess, if you could say, to Antlers.
Yes.
I mean, I told my friend to go see it. I was like, yeah,
two antlers up.
2 antlers up.
Look at her like this. Oh God.
That's going to be how we're going to review movies.
Review.
It's not even the wine, because while we were talking, I dumped my wine all over the floor. So, and I've been like, do I jump up and go get a towel, or do I just let it sit? And it's just sitting.
Okay.
On my table and the floor.
Okay. Is it carpet floor or wood floor?
Wood floor. Well, no, there's a carpet. I don't know how far it went. It might have actually, you know what? I don't think it went over the table. Awesome.
Huh.
So it just
wine scene investigation over here.
It just went into the placemat that I bought for Halloween.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, I don't know why that's Halloween. Actually,
I don't know, but you know what? It's funny. They match
no.
my pajama pants I'm wearing right now. I'm not even shitting you.
Really?
I'm not showing you my pajama pants, but they are literally purple stars and purple moons. I will show you
Nice.
afterwards. I'm not even joking. So I only dress for these things from the waist up because who the hell cares?
Oh, I'm wearing the workout pants that I wore today.
Nice. Yeah. I've been in these pajama pants like for 5 junkets now or something over the last week. So I'm waiting to put my actual Halloween PJ pants on like tomorrow for the rest of the week. So, but yeah, anyway.
All right. Antlers is good. Antlers is good. We like it.
Yes. Talk amongst yourselves. Yeah. So I guess we could go into Paranormal Activity Next of Kin now.
Yes.
Which is a movie that kind of just feels like it's coming out of nowhere.
Right. And that's why we will show the trailer, since I know a lot of people are like, what? There's a new Paranormal Activity movie. I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's only going to Paramount Plus. It's not going to theaters. So maybe that's confusing people, because where do they see an ad for it unless it shows up on Facebook or something, I guess.
Yeah.
Possibly. But anyway, so here is the trailer for Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
All right, whenever you're ready.
We are shooting a documentary because I am about to meet my first biological relative.
She's Amish.
I'm not. I am not Amish.
We are humbled and grateful to have our sister Margot return to us.
I've always hoped that I could meet you all, so this is a really special moment for me.
Hey, mind if I film you for a moment? Hey.
I like your doll. What's her name?
Yeah.
That was my mom's name. She used to live here a long time ago.
She's still here.
What did you say? Whoa. Why would they build a church all the way back here?
What is that?
The demon, Asmodeus, was trapped inside a chosen woman of God.
This has happened before.
What the hell? Are these from my mom? You can't have me and my baby?
I know every Amish family within a 50-mile area. They ain't Amish.
Jesus wird kommen, Jesus wird kommen, Christus schaut die ganze Erde. Jesus wird kommen, Jesus wird kommen, Christus schaut die ganze Erde.
Oh my God.
You sure about this?
I have to know.
So I'd actually
that
never
song,
watched
by the way, after I watched. Well,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to say that song was in my head all afternoon. I mean, I didn't know the words. It was just like blah 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 all afternoon.
And then you slam your fist down. I don't want to do it because my dogs will freak out and they're quiet right now. Yeah, it's funny. I actually hadn't watched the trailer yet. I just knew it was coming and whatever.
Oh, really?
Boy, that trailer shows and I'm not one of these people that trailer shows a whole lot kind of thing, but that trailer shows a whole lot.
It does, but it's funny is I did watch the trailer and I didn't remember anything when I was actually watching the movie, so I don't think I would have looked for something. Yeah, I kind of forgot.
Because I think for me, because of the nature of Paranormal Activity over the years and how you almost had to decipher things about the marketing and things like that. So I think when I watched those trailers for any movie of that with the name Paranormal Activity, I'm just heightened to really look at the details of it a little bit more than I would be just whatever trailer that comes out. But yeah, it's funny because I can't even believe that it was 12 years ago now. since the first Paranormal came out in theaters, and it was a few years before that since it was done. Bless Oren Peli, he just gets to hang out and be like, "Oh, you want to, you want to make something out of my franchise? I'll take the check."
Yeah, go
thanks,
ahead.
guys.
Yep, thanks.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts?
I mean, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was an interesting. Like when I first saw the trailer, I'm like, we're gonna do another like creepy family or creepy town. I'm just, it's not my favorite genre and that they've been doing a lot of it lately. I feel like where the town is doing something terrible and evil, but that's not necessarily. I mean, yeah, it is and it isn't. So, I mean, I liked it. Like I didn't like. There was a couple good jump scares. I was intrigued by what was going on and how it was going to end up and how like different things were going to fit together. And I did ultimately even like kind of where it ended up, because when that thing happens and then it affects everybody, I was like, so really, who are the bad people here and who aren't? Because are they really bad? Because now all hell is breaking loose, let's say. And it opens it up for sequels, so you can actually literally have a new Paranormal franchise that really focuses on this story. So I thought that was kind of smart. I mean, Christopher Landon wrote it, so I was happy about that. So I felt like there was at least going to be, some smarts to it. I thought the acting was good. Like they were all pretty believable. They cheated a little bit with some of the, like at one point they didn't even establish that there was a drone, but at one point you're watching the car as it's driving along. I'm like, okay, so who's doing that? And then later on they showed a drone. I'm like, okay, I guess so. But they cheated with like, why is that person going to grab a camera at this point? You know what I mean? There's things chasing you. I wouldn't even bother grabbing the camera. I'd just run. But it's a Paranormal Activity movie. That's what they do, and I'm fine with that. I don't really care.
I think even in the third act, I think there are parts where they just drop the found footage conceit, like totally. Which
I felt like they did too, but I felt like I noticed that one very particular time, but then I think I realized like, oh, that must have been this camera. But again, like then somebody has to gather all this footage together and edit it together.
Like, yeah, okay. No, I think that there were certain sequences that I think they dropped the conceit, which honestly, like, I'm okay if moving forward they just want to drop the found footaginess of it. Like, just give me good stories that tie into this. I don't care that it's filmed on somebody's cell phone or somebody's making a documentary. Like, I don't care. Like, I just want to watch movies. Like, it's not the found footaginess of it that sells me on it anymore. Like, that for me was like effective with the first 3 movies. Like, I don't need it anymore. Like, we're obviously moving beyond that a little bit. So I'm okay. I'm okay if they were to just, whatever happens after this one, if they do another one, just shoot a traditional film, and I'm okay with it. Because I don't think for me that the found footage is what makes paranormal activity anymore, because obviously it's this mythology that they keep building on,
right?
Ever since the first movie, which you can't tell me. And actually I know this for a fact, like there wasn't like Oren had this grand scheme of, of a mythology of any of this, when he first started out doing this. So I just think it's really interesting how other people have been able to come in and sort of take it in like some really cinematic directions that I don't think he ever could have anticipated. So
I mean, I have to say I like the found footageness of it. Again, it's one of my, I do like that genre. Although I started to watch one today. Oof, it was bad. Something about it came out too. It was, what the hell's the name of it? It was a very generic title. It was about the clown sightings, the clown sightings that were happening all over the world like 3 or 4 years ago. No. This was billed, no joke, and it literally says documentary, but it was and it starts off with like footage of them saying, what about the clown sightings at a presidential press conference? And then you realize that it's actually a movie, a mockumentary. And they were basically a couple trying to investigate how clowns were just appearing around the globe. And then there was all these attacks by clowns. So I was like, the idea is great, but the acting was so terrible that I had to turn it off. I was like, you can't watch this anymore. But it got a couple good reviews. So, I don't know. It's Behind the Something, or behind the sightings. Behind the sightings, I think it's called. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
it just came on Prime for free.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
it's
that's
weird.
why.
Yeah. Anyway, but point being, again, I like the genre, so I wouldn't mind them continuing to do it, but I feel like they could do different ways. Like even in the third one, where we were back in like the 80s or the 90s, and they were putting like a camera on a fan, which I thought was brilliant. But that's the thing I loved about those movies is that, like you said, you would watch the trailers. Like I would just sit there and like scan the screen, just going like, shit, when is it going to pop out at me? And that's what I loved about those movies. So I kind of hope they continue, but maybe do it in a different way, expand on it, do it in a TV station, or I don't know how they could do it, but
Yeah,
I
I mean, this
I
isn't
like
really.
them.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't really set up that at all either. This isn't
No.
that at all. This is just like finding out your roots, and there happens to be weird stuff. So it's like to me,
Right.
it almost feels like you didn't even have to call this really Paranormal Activity. I think the only reason you're calling it that is because it ties in to the cults that we eventually gets revealed the further along that we get into these movies. I still don't understand how in the marked ones we have like the kids at the heart of the marked ones like intersecting with the cult people, but also
Right.
with Katie in like this weird time loop. I didn't see Ghost Dimension. That's the one I've skipped. I saw that
did.
trailer and I was like, I'm out. I can't. And I
You
don't
know
regret
what? It wasn't good. My problem with how they continued is like once you knew there was a cult thing involved, every one after that would literally just repeat the same formula. They would something scary, this focus on a family, whatever, and then it would always end up in a house with a cult with a demon something or other, and then ends. And I'm like, you did that last time. Are you going to expand on the mythology? And they never did expand on the mythology. And Ghost Dimension kind of tries to end it. And there was kind of a moment at the end, which I vaguely remember. I'm like, oh, I guess they're kind of ending it, even though they could still continue it. So I'm not even convinced that this is going to attach to it. I feel like this is another thing on its own. But
Yeah,
I could see them both going both ways with it.
But I mean, it does directly tie into the cults that we see with Katie and her sister, though.
Was it the same people?
I'm pretty sure because it looks like even like the way that the house is staged looks really similar to the footage I think that we see in 3. Maybe it was, yeah, I think it's in 3 where we see that. So it's I'm pretty sure this ties into the demon of 1, 2, and 3. Because like 4 is different because it has like the witches, the brujas, which I love so much.
But I feel like that wasn't that part of 3? Wasn't it the same people? I thought it was the same people, the same cult.
In marked ones?
In the 4th one, which had the blonde girl, and then the marked ones was technically 5, right?
Yeah.
And then Ghost Dimension was 6.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking about specific, like marked ones wasn't tied technically to this until they got through that door and suddenly ended up in the cult's house, which looks exactly like the house in this movie.
Oh, see, I don't remember that. I liked marked ones. I'll have to rewatch it.
Yeah, because that was like there was like this weird like thing where they did, and like all of a sudden, like at one point they're in Katie's house.
Right, I remember that.
The events of the first one, and then at a certain point that they're in this compound where you see like the people that you see in this movie.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. I was gonna rewatch all of them, but it was like such a time commitment, I couldn't do it. But,
well, it's not like we had anything going on this month.
800 times. But nothing. I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
I'm so bored.
But yeah, I mean, I was okay with it. Again, it was framed differently, so I don't know. It was fine. Like it was fun. It was like for me, it was like a solid like 3 out of 5. It's framed well.
Great.
I really liked the gal at the heart of this who is I'm looking up her name really quickly because I had it in my head.
Emily
Bader.
Bader, yeah.
But it's also one of those situations where I'm just like you didn't leave the first day after some of this stuff was going on. Like I would have been like, yeah, we got to go get this car fixed and get the hell out of here.
Right.
I'm like, we're not staying a week and then realizing there's a problem. Like,
right.
Like you just the vibe is off from the get-go. So
Right. Well, when Grandma was hurting herself, I'm like, I'm okay. We got to go.
yeah,
When she was like
when she's
feeling
feeling your wrist, yeah.
peeling her skin off, I was like, yikes, I'm out. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it was entertaining. It was an hour and a half, you know, harmless paranormal activity fun. Let's say
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's it's one of those like I don't know what else you do with it at this point. I mean, I know where you
Sure.
take this story,
Yeah.
but also like how do you take this story with where they've set things up in a found footage direction?
True.
True. So
We'll
it's
see.
that seems like it's gonna
Maybe
be a hard
Christopher
thing.
Landon has a plan.
I'd rather him do other things, to be
It's
honest.
true. And I was actually surprised to see that he did this one. No joke. I was like, what? Why is he back to this? But I mean, it's money.
Oh no,
So
I think this was something that they were able to pull off during COVID too.
true. There's
So
the kid singing that song that I couldn't get out of my head all afternoon.
so yeah, so I think this was just a pretty
Sorry.
no, that's fine. But yeah, I think this was just like a pretty easy way for them to kind of do something to keep busy during the pandemic. You can kind of keep things really tight in terms of how you're shooting it and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, as you see in the trailer, as soon as there's like two-headed goat, I'm out. I know my horror movies from there. So
Right. I mean, there was nothing. So as soon as I saw the trailer, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what type of movie this will be. And I wasn't, again, it's not my favorite genre. That weird. The town's doing something terrible. I just have never liked it. But
well, I do because I think small towns are evil. I think there's a lot of stuff.
They are, but I mean, I just feel like we've seen it so much that I just don't. Like, I don't never feel like it's going to go anywhere surprising. Like even Hereditary, I was like, oh, really? I was mad at the end. I wanted something different. I felt it was a cheat. I don't know. I didn't love Hereditary. I liked it for a lot of aspects of it, but I thought the tone was weird. Like sometimes it was funny and then it wasn't funny. I'm like, this is weird. I know. Well, I just went off on a bandwagon. But that said, I mean, it's free on Paramount Plus. I mean, I guess you have to pay for it, but
yeah,
it's.
I think it's kind of a mistake, to be really honest.
To put it on Paramount, I agree.
Yeah.
It's not gonna get any traction.
Like I'm full up on streaming services. Like I'm ready to actually start paring them down at this point where I'm like, my Disney subscription's up soon. And I'm just like, I don't think I'm gonna, I mean, maybe, I don't know, but $80 a year. I'm just like, ugh, I'm a broke ass journalist. I don't have $80 a year just to watch a couple Marvel shows every once in a while.
And I love Disney, but it's just, I haven't watched that channel in months. I mean, months and months. You're right. Like, it's like, was this worth my pay? Like, I could just buy the DVDs for $40.
Yeah.
And have the two shows I watched. And I have all the Star Wars movies. I don't need those. There's specials and stuff I don't really care about. They need to come up with some stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like the Home Alone for the holidays, which is literally just Home Alone again, which is a classic and nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, we at least get Buzz back in the movie, which I'm guessing we'll probably get Kevin too, and they're probably not going to put that in the trailer. So,
God, I hope not. But it's sad to see Kimmy Schmidt, whoever, I can't remember her name, but that she's in it. She's one of the robbers. But I was like, it was such a like shot by shot almost. I was like, why are you doing this? It's such a classic. I just don't understand the need for it.
I mean, but also too, I think for people who have kids, like somebody's kid might watch this version and have never seen the original, and they're going to want to go watch the original. So, it's fine.
Maybe,
it's
but
it's not for us.
I don't know. It's not, but I feel like, but I guess I get upset because it's like you have money to spend on other things. Like, why bother doing this? Like, it's not gonna go down as a Christmas classic. So why not spend the money on something or add money to something else to make it even better? Why bother?
IP.
It's a lot of time and money, huh?
IP.
Yeah, but it's. I mean, when I think it was on a Disney site when they first showed the trailer, and I looked, there was not one positive comment, and there was thousands of comments. And I just scrolled through them, and not one. Everybody's like, "This is ridiculous." I'm like, what were you thinking? Like, who's the people? Who are the executives that sat in a meeting and was like, yes, now that we have Fox, let's screw over Home Alone.
Well, they've been screwing over Home Alone since after the first one anyway. So
true. But
you know, I mean, most people don't even realize that there's like 5 Home Alone movies to begin with. So
true. I've only seen the first one. I never saw the New York one.
I've seen it here and there. I don't care for it very much. I mean, it has Tim Curry, which helps, but that's not enough.
I always think I'm going to watch it every Christmas, and then I just never have time.
Yeah, we stick with the original, but yeah, and there's like 3, 4, and 5 still too. So like, the Home Alone franchise is already bastardized. Like, some 6-year-old's going to watch this movie, and it's going to probably be his favorite movie ever.
Probably.
And you know, it's not for us. I don't even have kids to have to, you know, distract over the holidays. So you know, doubly not for me. So
you and I are both looking forward to the director's cut of Krampus.
Yes,
I know.
Give me that.
I'm excited about it. I mean, here's the thing. I didn't even love Krampus when it came out. I thought it was okay. Like, I felt that it was a little mishmashy. I wasn't quite sure what the tone was. I guess I wanted something different. But then when I realized, oh, it's kind of like Gremlins, I was like, okay. And then I watched it again and I really liked it. And now I'm like, ooh, now I want to see, you know, what a director's cut could look like, or an extended cut, whatever they're calling it. I'm excited. I said I was going to review it, so I'll get it for free.
You won't have to wait very much longer for that.
I know. It's like 3rd week in November or the 2nd week in November.
I think so. Something like that.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Something to do. All right. Indeed. Well,
I think that's
it. And to let everybody know, I'll just say it, I guess, since I'm yapping.
Since you are yapping.
This is our last show for the year. This is our season finale, as it were. Appropriate because it's right before Halloween. So we will be back. I think in 2022 at some point early on in the year. I would assume probably to celebrate Scream. I think that would be a good kicker offer. But yeah, so you will not see our faces for 2 more months. So just hold tight and check back in January.
Yeah. So for everybody who's been tuning in, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to follow us over on Twitter. Our handles are right there on our little screens, as we will be still covering movies throughout, the next few months, independent of the show. And I guess that's about it. And everybody out there, have a great Halloween and
stay safe. Don't bite into any apples, and don't put any masks on your head that look like witches, pumpkins, or whatever the other one was.
Skeleton.
I
was gonna say, make sure you keep your pumpkins lit too. So.
Oh right. Is that's from
Trick or Treat?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And be wary of Sam. Or you know what? Grab his hand and take him under your wing.
I would do that.
He's adorable.
Yes. So yes. So thanks everybody. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you in a few months.
All right. Bye guys.
Bye.